In 1968, if a shopkeeper gave your mother the wrong change, she would know before she reached the door. She did not need a calculator. She would feel the coins in her palm, glance down once, and know something was off. Counting money was normal then. A loaf had a price. A pound note felt like a pound note. If you spent 2 shillings too much, you noticed it before the shop bell had finished ringing behind you. Today, the wrong change does not come back in coins. It comes as a broadband renewal that looks official enough to leave alone. It comes as home insurance creeping up after years of loyal custom. It comes as a small subscription you once meant to cancel, or a direct debit that quietly grows by £3 and hopes nobody is in the mood to ask questions. Most people never hear the coins fall now. Imagine the old high street for a moment. Rain on the pavement, a bus pulling away from the stop, a baker wiping steam from the window with the back of his sleeve, the butcher calling out a total before wrapping the meat in paper. Somewhere near the post office, a woman clips her purse shut and slides the receipt into her coat pocket. She's not doing anything dramatic. She's just checking. Before money left, people looked. Before they walked away, they counted. Receipts were not sacred objects, but they knew what was on them before they disappeared into a drawer. That little pause protected ordinary households for decades. Now jump to 2026. The counter has gone quiet. Many bank branches have closed. The local electrical shop may be an empty unit with dusty tape marks on the glass. The butcher might still be there if you're lucky, but the bills that take the biggest bite out of retirement rarely come from a man in an apron telling you the price out loud. They arrive through renewals, direct debits, policy changes, automatic increases, and letters that look too boring to be dangerous. That is where people get caught, not because they are foolish, usually the opposite. They are the careful ones. The ones who pay on time, avoid debt, keep old paperwork in drawers, and do not like making a fuss. In the old high street, that made you a good customer. In a modern billing system, it can make you easy to charge. If you are new here, I am Paolo. On this channel, we take old British money habits and translate them for UK pensioners today. No shouting, no miracle tricks, no pretending that a cup of tea and a cheaper biscuit will solve the cost of living. We look at what changed and what still works. And today, the useful habit is simple. Check before you pay. It sounds almost childish. It is not. In the old shop, checking meant looking at the price tag, counting the change, and keeping the receipt. In 2026, the shop counter has become your bank statement, your renewal letter, your insurance policy, your phone contract, and all those payments that leave the account while you are busy living your life. The habit still works, but the place where you use it has moved. A shopkeeper had to look at you while giving the total. If the price had gone up, you could raise an eyebrow and ask, "Since when?" A direct debit does not answer unless you ask first. It just leaves. A payment can become familiar enough that you stop seeing it. A bill can sit in the account for years and become part of the furniture. You do not love it, you do not examine it, you just walk around it. Companies know this. They know many older customers would rather put up with a small increase than sit on hold listening to tinny music and a voice saying the call is important. Funny how important calls can wait 26 minutes. So we are going to bring back that old pause before paying. Not as a classroom exercise, more like a household habit. A way of looking at money before it slips out again. We will start with the price, then the change, then the receipt, then loyalty, and finally the moment when you decide something no longer earns its place in your month. No grand system, no special notebook required, though if you still have a proper notebook in a drawer, good. Those things have survived more governments than most of us. Start with the price. In the old high street, the price was usually visible. A paper label tied with string, a little card in the window, chalk on a board behind the counter. Sometimes the writing was awful, but at least it was there. You saw the cost before the money left your hand. That matters. The decision happened before payment. You could look at the kettle, the lamp, the tin of biscuits, the pair of shoes, and decide whether it was coming home with you or staying right where it was. In 2026, a lot of household costs do not behave like that. They do not sit politely in the window with a clear label. They live inside contracts and letters, and some only show their true price after the cheaper first year has disappeared. Broadband is good at this, insurance too. Phone packages can be worse because they gather little extras over time like fluff under a sofa. Energy bills have their own language now, full of standing charges, unit rates, and forecasts that somehow make you feel you need a degree just to boil a kettle. The old question was simple: how much is it? That question still cuts through a lot, not what is the monthly payment. Monthly payments are slippery, they make almost anything sound smaller. A few pounds more does not feel like much until 5 different companies are each taking a few pounds more and suddenly the end of the month has developed a limp. The better question is whether the price now still matches the price you thought you were paying. Picture a woman in a small electrical shop in 1968. She is looking at a table lamp. The shade is cream, the base is brass, and there is a paper tag tied to the cord. She sees the price before she touches her purse. If the shopkeeper says a different amount at the till, she will notice. Now move that moment into 2026. The lamp is not the lamp anymore, it is the renewal letter for home insurance. It is the broadband email you almost did not open. It is the phone bill that still includes something added when the grandchildren were staying more often. There is still a price tag, but now you have to dig it out. For one payment this week, just one, find the actual price. Not the amount you remember, not the amount it used to be, the amount now. If you have last year's letter, compare it. If you have an old bank statement, compare that. If you only have this month, start there. Write the amount down if it helps. Not because we are building a grand financial system, but because written numbers behave better than remembered ones. Memory is loyal. It often remembers what we wish the bill still cost. Paper is ruder. It tells you. This is where some pensioners discover the first leak. Not a scandal, not a crime, just a renewal that went up while nobody was watching. To be fair, some increases are real. Prices rise, contracts end, insurance risk changes. Energy rules are not what they were. The point is not to assume everyone is cheating you. The point is to stop assuming nobody is. There is a difference, and sometimes it is expensive. Now let us go back to the counter and talk about change. Counting your change used to be part of leaving a shop. You did not make a production of it. Coins came back across the counter, your eyes dropped for a second, then into the purse they went. That tiny action told your brain the transaction was finished and correct. Today, the equivalent is looking at what actually left your account. Not just the bill, the account. A letter can say one thing, memory can say another, and the bank statement tells you what happened. This is where the wrong change shows up now. A payment that was £38 and is now £44. A policy that renewed higher than expected. A small amount still leaving for a service you have not used since the last time someone said just cancel it online, as if that sentence had ever brought peace to an elderly household. The first proper look can be irritating. Almost rude, you may find nothing. Fine. That is still useful. You checked. But if something has moved, pause there. Do not panic cancel. Do not ring everyone in a temper. Ask what changed. That old phrase matters. What changed? It is calmer than, why am I being robbed? And much more likely to get an answer from the person on the phone. If the amount is correct, if it is wrong, you have caught it. If it is technically correct but no longer worth paying, that is a different conversation, and probably the one that saves money. Receipts were never glamorous. They were folded, stuffed into pockets, put in biscuit tins, trapped under fruit bowls, and found months later when nobody could remember what they belonged to. Still, they did one useful thing. They proved what happened. A receipt gave you a date, a price, and a place. It told you what you had agreed to, even if the handwriting looked like a spider had walked through ink. Modern payments often lack that feeling of proof. You may see a name on a bank statement and have only the faintest memory of what it is. A company changes its trading name. A subscription appears under a billing partner. A small regular payment sits there looking harmless because it has always sat there. But always is not a receipt. For anything leaving your account every month, try to find when it began and whether you would choose it again now. That is often enough to expose the problem. If a shopkeeper put the same service on the counter and asked for the money in cash, would you hand it over? Sometimes the answer is yes. Good. Keep it. Sometimes the answer is, I'm not even sure what that is. That one deserves attention. It might be a streaming service, a magazine, an old phone add-on, a bank account fee, boiler cover, appliance cover. A donation you still value or one you forgot about and now need to think about properly. None of these are automatically wrong. The mistake is letting them continue unseen. There is a very British kind of overpayment that does not come from extravagance. It comes from not wanting to be a nuisance. A pensioner sees a payment and thinks, it's only small. Small has a habit of bringing friends. One small payment is a cup of tea. 6 small payments is the weekly shop looking at you strangely. And because these payments do not ask permission each time, they can stay long after the reason for them has left the house. A phone package that made sense when the family called often. A TV bundle chosen when someone else lived there. Insurance extras added years ago. A charity donation that began after a moving advert on television, which may still be right, but should at least be a choice. Choice is the key word. The old high street gave you choice at the counter. Modern payments sometimes remove the counter and hope the choice becomes too much effort to revisit. That brings us to loyalty. This is a delicate one because loyalty used to mean something on the high street. If you went to the same butcher, he knew what cut you liked. The greengrocer might tell you which apples were worth buying. At the building society, there was a face behind the desk. Staying with people could earn trust. Modern companies still like the word loyalty. They put it in letters, they put it in adverts. They say they value you, usually just before asking you to accept a new price. Sometimes they do value you, sometimes. But a long-standing customer can also be the customer least likely to check. That is the danger. A new customer may get a better offer because the company is trying to win them. The older customer, the loyal one, may pay the quiet price. Not always, but often enough that checking is no longer rude. It is common sense. There is one sentence worth keeping near the telephone. Is this still your best price? That is all. No shouting, no performance, no threatening to leave unless you mean it. Just that sentence. The worst that happens is they say yes and then you know. The best that happens is they find something cheaper, remove an old add-on, or explain what you are paying for in a way that finally makes sense. Of course, getting through to a human being can feel like trying to reach a lighthouse in fog. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Listen carefully because the options have changed. The options always change. It is one of Britain's least useful traditions. Still, the habit was never about comfort. It was about not handing over money without looking. If you cannot manage the phone, ask someone trusted to sit with you. A son, daughter, neighbor, friend, local advice service. Not everyone has family nearby, I know, but where help exists, use it. This is not pride, it is administration. Dull but occasionally profitable. And remember, you are not asking for special treatment. You are asking what the price is. That used to be normal. There is another old habit people forget. Walking away. In the old high street, you could decide not to buy. You could hold the kettle, look at the tag, feel the money in your purse, and put it back on the shelf. Nobody loved doing it, but the choice was there. In modern billing, the payment has often already walked into your house. It has a chair by the fire. It leaves every month. So walking away in 2026 may mean cancelling something, switching, refusing a renewal, asking for a cheaper tariff, or simply putting a payment under review instead of letting it drift on. That sounds easy until it is your own bill. Then the doubts arrive. Cancel the wrong thing and you may lose cover you need. Switch too quickly and you may find the cheaper deal has a catch. Spend an hour on the phone and you may come away with 3 new reference numbers and no clear answer. These are sensible worries. Being careful is not the problem. Using caution as a reason to never look is where it starts costing money. So slow the decision down. First identify the payment, then find out what it does. Then decide. There is no prize for cancelling something quickly and regretting it by Thursday. Think of it like the old shop. A careful shopper did not throw the lamp at the shopkeeper because the price looked high. She asked, looked again, checked the money and decided. Same habit, different counter. Let me give you a normal example. A widower in his late 70s, let us call him Arthur, keeps his bills in a drawer under the telephone table. Not messy, exactly. More like organized by gravity. The newer letters sit on top until they are replaced by even newer ones. Arthur has always paid everything, never missed rent, never liked owing money. If a bill arrives, it gets paid. That used to be enough to keep a household respectable. One morning he opens a bank statement because the month feels tighter than usual. Nothing jumps out at first. There is no giant payment, no obvious disaster. Then he notices the broadband higher than last year. Home insurance, renewed without much thought, a small monthly payment with a company name he does not recognize, a phone package that includes more than he uses. None of it looks dramatic. That is why it survived. Arthur does not need a financial advisor for the first step. He needs the old pause. He checks what it is, what it used to cost, and whether he would choose it again if someone put it on the counter today. That morning he does not fix everything. Real life rarely works like that. But he rings one company, puts one letter in a folder, and asks his niece to help identify the mystery payment. By Friday, one unused service is cancelled, a renewal is questioned, the broadband is moved to a cheaper package, nothing heroic, no music swelling in the background, just a pensioner getting some control back. Suppose that saves £18 a month. That is £216 a year. For some people, that is not enough to change the world. For others, it is the difference between dreading winter and having a little room to move. And even if the saving is smaller, clarity has value. A lot of stress comes from fog. You know money is going but not quite where. You know bills are higher but not which ones. You know the account feels thinner, but the cause sits in a pile of paper waiting for later. Later is a dangerous place. Many expensive things live there. Now I want to be fair. Some people watching this will already have checked everything. They have cut back, compared, cancelled, and still the numbers are brutal. If that is you, this is not a lecture. You are not overpaying because you forgot to be clever. You are being squeezed because the cost of living is heavy. This video is for the leaks that can still be found, the hidden charges, the old packages, the renewals nobody questioned, the payments that stayed because nobody invited them to leave. Some homes have none, some have 2 or 3, and one quiet saving is still a saving. The old high street was not magic, it trained attention. A person looked at the price before paying, counted the coins before leaving, and kept enough proof to go back if something was wrong. That is all we are rebuilding. Here is the simplest way to use it. Choose 5 regular payments. 5 is enough. More than that, and the whole thing starts to feel like punishment, and nobody needs a punishment disguised as household management. Pick the payments most likely to drift: broadband, phone, insurance, energy, water, bank fees, subscriptions, regular donations, or anything you do not recognize immediately. You are looking for the price now? Whether it changed, whether you still have proof, whether loyalty is costing you, and whether you would choose the same thing today. Do not turn it into a ceremony. Just look honestly. You do not need to do all 5 in one morning. 1 a day is fine. 1 a week is still better than none. If you use the internet comfortably, comparison can be quick. If you do not, use the telephone, ask for paper copies, or get someone you trust to sit beside you. There is no shame in needing help with modern billing. Some of these systems seem designed to make a sensible person feel like they have misplaced part of their brain. Keep a folder if you can. Not a beautiful system, just one envelope, one drawer, one place. Call it check. Any renewal goes in there, any price rise, any payment you do not recognize, any letter that makes your stomach tighten a little when it lands on the mat. Once a month, open it with a cup of tea, not at midnight, not when you are already annoyed, not while the kettle is screaming and someone on the radio is discussing interest rates, as if that helps anyone butter toast. Choose one thing and look at it. That is enough to begin. The old high street trained people to be awake at the moment of payment. That is what we have lost. The moment of payment now happens quietly, often when you are not looking. Renewal day arrives, a trial ends, a tariff changes, a small increase becomes normal. The money walks out, so bring back the pause. Before it leaves, look. If it has already left, look before it leaves again. Your mother counted change because money mattered. Your father kept receipts because proof mattered. Your grandparents compared prices because a few coins could change the week. But none of that was small-minded, it was intelligent. And it still is. The intelligence just has to move from the counter to the statement. Back in 1968, your mother would leave the shop with a receipt in her pocket and the right change in her purse. She might not have said much about it. That generation often did not turn ordinary competence into a speech. They just got on with it. But that small act protected the household. In 2026, the act looks different. It is opening the renewal letter, checking the direct debit, questioning the price, asking whether there is a better deal, canceling what no longer belongs in your month, and keeping proof when money leaves. Not glamorous, useful. Check before you pay. And if the bank has already paid, check before it pays again. If this video helped you, please consider subscribing. We are bringing back old British money habits and adjusting them for the world UK pensioners are living in now. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What shop on your old high street do you remember most clearly? The butcher, the baker, the post office, the little electrical shop, the place where someone counted the change out loud? And which modern bill do you think has crept up the most without people noticing? Broadband, insurance, phone, energy, water, or something else entirely? Write it in the comments. I read them, and some of the best lessons on this channel come from people remembering what their parents did at the counter. Until next time, take care of yourself. Keep the receipt, count the change, and check the payment before it quietly walks out of your account again.